Bear with BearIndependent.com. Welcome back to the green screen. Homestead. The metaverse is working great today. We have our core processors firing on all cylinders. The NVIDIA graphics cards are doing great. Look at this synthesized environment I'm in. It's so good. So look, we even have realistic fire today. Great processing power. The damn Yankee. Good morning. Bear Independent Brief, 2 February 22. Can you believe a month has gone by in the year of 2022 already? I cannot. We're going to discuss today, good morning Arkansas living, the ATF, a bit of a world SITREP, and then also the pokey poke. Denver's cases of the plague and hospitalizations, I can do this. Denver's cases and hospitalizations are declining, and the city has reached a 78% vaccination rate. Mayor Michael Hancock said during a press conference, quote, following extensive discussions with our regional partners as well as current health advice and the downward trajectory of cases, positivity, and hospitalizations, Denver, the downward trajectory of positivity is a real thing, regardless of what context we're talking about. Denver will not be extending our public health order. So, beginning Friday, people will no longer be required under the public health order to wear masks or show proof of vaccination for entry into a business in Denver. End quote. By the way, YouTube, before you demonetize and or destroy this video, that was a direct quote from the mayor of Denver, Michael Hancock. There are exceptions to this, however. Mask requirements are still in place for schools and child care facilities to ensure schools can remain open, with all the air quotes. They also are required, they being the masks and proof of the jabs, are also required on public transportation and at Denver International Airport, which, by the way, very likely is like the homestead for the local satanic cabal. Yeah, crazy. Denver Airport, crazy. Moreover, individual organizations in Denver are allowed to keep masks and proof of vaccination requirements on their own should they so choose. Good morning, none of you beeswax. How might this play out over the next month? As an example, Howard County, Maryland lifted the mask mandate in a similar manner on 23rd of December last year, still requiring them on public transport, in schools, and so forth. Since then, according to County Executive Calvin Ball, the metrics have decreased significantly, i.e., people don't be getting so sick with the thing anymore. Thank you, whoever dropped us a $5 bill. I appreciate you. In another example, Anne Arundel and Baltimore counties have both, I don't know how you pronounce Arundel, and Arundel and Baltimore counties have both dropped the mask requirements, and so far, cases and hospitalizations continue to nosedive, and the state of emergency for Baltimore County is set to end on February 7th. Meanwhile, Virginia Governor Youngkin had signed an executive order to allow parents to opt their children out of school mask mandates, and now the ACLU, or the American Civil Liberties Union, those fine upstanding citizens, bing, has filed a lawsuit to stop Governor Youngkin's mandate, arguing that it violates the Americans with Disabilities Act. Quote, children with serious medical conditions need to feel safe at school. Mask mandates allow them to access the educational services to which they are entitled. End quote. I need more coffee this morning. The executive director of the DCLV Disability Law Center of Virginia, Colleen Miller, said, judging from these few examples, it appears that the iron grip may begin to loosen as numbers continue to shrink. Still, depending on how things go on the legal sphere, schools may be the next political battleground. I don't have the words today. They're not tremendous. Don't believe me. It's not fabulous. It's not as beautiful as Melania today. Believe it, believe it. Don't believe it. My words are not tremendous today. Still, depending on how things go in the legal sphere, schools may be the next political battleground. battleground. Even long after life returns to normal for many, this could be more than just mask mandates. It could potentially include vaccination requirements for children. And I've seen a smattering of reporting discussing vaccination requirements for children, which I disagree with personally. And I'm not a fan of the whole pokey jab. If you are, that's fine. You do you. Yes, Scorptac, words are hard today. You do you. However, you don't get to do me. And that's the thing, right? We believe in freedom here. You don't get to tell me what to do. I don't get to tell you what to do. That is known as freedom. Shabby-dabby-doo. Now, on to articles. Interesting. Oh my gosh, she loogied on camera. Yep, I sure did. Yes, Mary, Negre coffee is needed. I have some here. It may be 9,000 degrees. Shalom, Andrew Barnes. Shalom, brother. Shall we see? You see the steam coming off of that? I made it on the green screen fire. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's 9,000 degrees. I don't have a face anymore. I'm pretty sure I just melted my face off live on television. Let's see. Aaron G. said Biden is sending roughly 2,000 troops from Fort Bragg, North Carolina to Poland and Germany. Yes, he is. He is sending lots of people from lots of places to lots of other places. That coffee does look hot as all get out. Constitutional Carpenter. Guess what? It is. From RT. UK scrambles fighter jets over an unidentified aircraft. RAF jets were mobilized on Wednesday after the Ministry of Defense detected an unidentified aircraft near the coast of Scotland. The British Ministry of Defense has announced that deployment of the Royal Air Force Typhoon fighter jets alongside an air-to-air refueling tanker north of Scotland after an unidentified plane was spotted in the area. A spokesman for the ministry stated that the action was taken in response to, quote, unidentified aircraft approaching the UK area of interest, end quote. But they refused to offer any additional detail on this ongoing operation until complete. That was also a quote. The RAF regularly deploys aircraft to intercept foreign jets that approach the UK's area of interest without prior permission. In November, the UK military sent RAF jets to intercept Russian Tu-160 strategic bombers that were close to British airspace. The Ministry of Defense escorted the planes out of the area of interest. Why is this significant? Well, we'll read the last paragraph and come back. As reported by TASS, whoever the hell they are, the Russian embassy in London has responded to similar RAF scrambles by saying that British officials have reacted to its patrols with an unjustified waste of defense materials and personnel in a manner that poses a risk for civil aviation. Standard Russian one-liner mic drops. Like, that's cute. Y'all are a bunch of morons. Keep wasting your defense funds. Right? It's a lot like what we're seeing in Ukraine right now with Russia. It's like, we're not going to start a war, but if y'all do anything, we'll finish it for you. Colton, 1911 shooter, $20. Thank you. I heard your tagline become ungovernable last night on Timcast IRL podcast. You've been getting around. Praise the Father. Well, hopefully they invite me on or something. Probably not today, though, because my words are not tremendous today. We're going to talk about the ungovernable T-shirt at the end of the brief, but y'all broke the internet, and then we had to fix it, which was a great problem to have. The Bear Nation crashed our servers because so many people, Tim would melt. Eddie, that's funny, man. So many people tried to log on to bearindependent.com at the same time that the servers went down to buy that T-shirt. That's badass. Bless y'all. They're back up, and the links to the ungovernable T-shirt is in the description down below. So, appreciate y'all. Let's see. Also from RT, U.S. and NATO security responses to Russia leaked to media. Western countries have refused concessions amid a tense standoff with Russia, a newspaper claims. Washington and NATO have formally rejected Russia's key demands for assurances that the U.S.-led military bloc, which is how it's funny how reporters latch on to a phrase, bloc, B-L-O-C, Um, that is what is being used to describe NATO in the reporting in the last few weeks, the bloc. And it harkens back to, I think it's intended to harken us all back to, come with me back in time to the Cold War, where Eastern Bloc was a common phrase. And now, and all the negative connotations that went with that are now being put on NATO. Now, remember, this is from RT, so we know who they support, right? It's Russian propaganda. Cool. It's all propaganda. We just have to ascertain who has woven their bit of propaganda, their aims into this piece that we're going to read, right? Barry, huge fan doing the things. Thomas Romano, good morning. Good for you, man. Good for you. I'm glad you're doing the things. It is, it's one of those days here where the high was in the morning and it's getting colder every minute that goes by because there's some massive winter storm that's coming this way. And yo no quiero muchos, I think is how you say in Spanish. I don't give a flying flip. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. I like winters. I wish that Oklahoma would make up its mind. Is it going to be 70 degrees and sunny, or is it going to be an ice storm? Don't know. Pick a day. Could be either, right? Bare fact, be badass. Andrew Barnes, bless you. We're going to talk about that at the end of the brief as well, because newsflash, we're up 2. We're up 2. Stick around if you want the details on lives 32 and 33, but praise the Father. Lives 32 and 33 have come in the last week, bro. Yeah, badass. Yes, Cole LeBlanc, now you have to do 10 push-ups because I said do the things. Oh, I think you're up to 20 now. Well, you should definitely do the things, Cole. That would be 30 push-ups. Send it. According to documents seen by the Spanish daily El País and published on Wednesday morning, Moscow's calls for written guarantees that Ukraine will not be admitted as a member of NATO were dismissed following several rounds of talks between Russia and Western diplomats. However, officials say in the response that they remain open to dialogue and have offered some areas of possible cooperation. The written reply to Moscow's December proposals largely mirror what Western officials have said publicly during the tense standoff in Europe. NATO blamed Russia for a substantial, unprovoked, unjustified, and ongoing military buildup in and around Ukraine and Belarus. The bloc, NATO, reiterated its support for the, quote, right of other states to choose or change security arrangements, end quote, rebuking Russia's demand that it accept neither Ukraine nor any new members into NATO. Brian Neely, appreciate you. Thank you. The U.S.-led bloc, NATO, denied that it posed a threat to Russia and argued that it had, quote, extended the hand of friendship, end quote, offering Moscow dialogue after the Cold War ended in the early 1990s. They said, quote, no other partner, meaning Russia, has been offered a comparable relationship or a similar institutional framework. Yet Russia has broken the trust at the core of our cooperation and challenged the fundamental principles of the global and Euro-Atlantic security architecture, end quote. Dude, do you even Diplo speak? That's a lot of $100 words. That's more words than I have in my face today. Quote, the reversal of Russia's military buildup in and around Ukraine will be essential for substantive progress, end quote, NATO wrote. For its part, the bloc, NATO, offered general transparency and confidence-building measures, such as exchanging briefings on each other's military exercises. Right? Military exercises is just cover for action. Consultations, setting up a civilian hotline, and reestablishing respective missions in Moscow and Brussels. Now, here's why the RAF fighter jet thing is interesting. Because we know that Russia currently, to the southwest of Great Britain, has ships that are engaged in a training exercise in that area. S2 Underground, who every one of you should be subscribed to, 2 days ago did some excellent reporting in a video he titled, I believe, Ukraine, cable diplomacy, and in which he provided a map showing the position of transatlantic communications cables overlaid with the position of Russian naval forces. And as we saw in Norway, there was a cable that was cut/exploded on that underground, underwater, subwater telecommunications cable there in Norway. And yeah, it's always a drill. Thanks, Lara W. It's always a drill until it's not. It's not a drill in Ukraine. They're issuing live ammunition to the Russian soldiers, all 120,000 of them. Is your beard green screened also? Yep, look at how good the technology is. You see this? Look. Yep, excellent technology we got going on these days. How do fiber optics explode? Mark Ivy, they don't. You put explosives on them with submersible vehicles, and then you detonate set explosives and you sever the cable. And so we know that Russia is in the area of Great Britain. This makes Great Britain very nervous, as it should. And we know that Russia, for 30, 40 years, has put close to $1 trillion in their submarine warfare capabilities. And they're parked right over the top of transatlantic cables that lead into Great Britain right now. And then you've got the RAF scrambling fighters to escort an unidentified aircraft out of their area of interest. Coinky-dink. I'm sure it's just a coinky-dink. This article on NATO here goes on to say more blah blah and diplo speak, but essentially the thing to understand here, and we've known this for a while, but the thing to understand here is it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to talk our way out of this one. Next, interestingly, from the Daily Wire, truckers and Canadian police engaged in standoff at protest at the U.S.-Canadian border. Police and protesters are engaged in a standoff after law enforcement moved in to arrest the organizers of the truck convoy currently assembled on the United States-Canada border. View at your own risk. If Russia invades Ukraine, what are the domestic implications for the United States? War is bad, but what does that mean for us here? Supply chain logistics, scarcity, good question. Then we'll come back to this article here in Canada. Certain things are going to be allocated to the war effort. Okay? Food. If you think food scarcity is a thing now, and it is, but it's not terrible yet, when our boys go across the seas to go stack some bodies, there's going to be even less food available here because it's going to be allocated for the war effort. Fuel shortages, material shortages such as steel, ballistic nylon, hell, medical equipment. These right here. I'll tell you one thing I know for sure, okay? This is the Bear Fact 3.0. These right here, tourniquets, they're going to be hard to get if we have a full-blown war. Hey, here's another one, because I'm always prepared. This one's red, soft tea. Okay? These are going to be harder to get because prioritization is going to go to militaries and agencies for medical equipment. Ammunition, for sure. Medicines, for sure. Vehicles, potentially. What is the TQ on the outside of that Bear Fact? It is a TACMED Solutions soft. No, it's not TACMED. It's a, TACMED. Sorry, brain is in low gear today. Soft tourniquet, soft T tourniquet. These are great to use on other people. They're not great to use on yourself unless you've had training, and that goes for all tourniquets. But these are the preferred tourniquet for law enforcement and EMS for using on other people. The Cat 7 tourniquet, which I also have in my pocket right here, right? Because I'm me, right? This guy right here, the Cat Gen 7 is what you want to use on yourself. Because if you're shot in the left arm, go. Hey, are you doing push-ups right now? Everybody do some push-ups. High and tight, right? High and tight. By the way, I don't know if you saw Coda Boy 32's SOB review, but it was very good. So shout out to Coda. Also, some guy in there was like, yeah, I wouldn't trust Bear. He's just an equipment operator. Like, that's cool, dude. I definitely don't teach people the art of how to not die as a living with refugetraining.com, including the United States military, law enforcement, EMS, and fire all across the country, and over 1,000 civilians trained in the last 12 months. That's how you put a tourniquet on, boys and girls. And that's why we use the Gen 7 as our primary tourniquet in everything we do. North American Rescue, Gen 7 cat tourniquet. You forgot the T on your forehead. Well, there's some days, and today might be one of them, where you should just put this thing around your neck and keep twisting until you see stars. So, that's the tourniquet that's on the outside of the Bear Fact. And I believe officially the brief is now in the gutter, and that's okay. We can pull it back out of the gutter. But yeah, implications here. Shortages for sure. Conscription, maybe. Where's all my equal rights girls at? You feel like you want to strap on a plate carrier and go get shot at over in Belarus? Ooh, did he say that out loud? He certainly did. Police and protesters are engaged in a standoff after law enforcement moved in to arrest the organizers of the trucker convoy currently assembled on the United States-Canada border. Rebel News videographer Kian Simone first reported on Monday that blah, 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 blah. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police were expected to begin negotiations with the truckers. Negotiations began Monday evening. And the reporting goes on from here. Essentially, the RCMP was like, hey, y'all got to move. In fact, they probably said it far more Canadian and much more nice than that. But they said very politely, you need to move, you're blocking the road. And the truckers said, essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, nah, we're good. And the police were like, okay, we're going to roadblock your roadblock. And then the truckers got all pissy because food and water couldn't be brought into their protest. And they were like, hey, you need to let our food and water through. And the RCMP was like, sorry, bro, apparently the road's blocked. Do you want to unblock the road so your food and water can get through? And they're like, no, man, we're blocking the road in protest. And they're like, okay, I guess no food and water gets through. And so that seems to be the position that they are in now currently with this little standoff that's going on between the RCMP and these truckers. So that's an interesting development. And it sounds like everybody, based upon the reporting, everybody's just being super polite and nice to each other. Okay. See, I'm not Canadian, nor am I a truck driver. I'm just a heavy equipment operator, apparently. I'm not Canadian. I don't know how to be that nice. But my mind goes to, hey, man, you're out there, you're doing it, you're protesting. Maybe don't be that nice. I'm not saying you need to go to guns, tanks, bombs, planes, but maybe don't be that nice. It's a protest, right? Okay. That's all. And also, somebody said logistics. Yeah, absolutely. Logistics wins wars. And that's why we're going to see supply chain issues here when we go to war with both China and Russia. There'll be supply chain issues here because logistics, bro. Also, this is one of the critiques that I have had for a decade or more for the United States militia movement. You know, everybody with their rifle and their magazines and their plate carrier and their day pack and their blowout kit that they don't know how to use and the dot sight on their rifle that isn't zeroed and, you know, boots but no socks and blah, 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 right? All their Gucci gear. And no food, no sleep kit, no water, no medical section, no, they don't even have a field kitchen. Like, we're going to go over here and make sure the government doesn't tread on our rights. 2 days later, half your guys have a flu and no place to sleep. Bro, logistics wins wars. What are you going to eat? Where are you going to sleep? What are you going to drink? How are you going to poop? Have you even put together a security watch? No? No. Okay. So you've allocated 100% of your resources to stand guard, and you have no reserve, you have no rotation, you have no watch, you have no logistics, you have no medical section, you have no CASEVAC, you got none of this, and you don't have any of your messaging figured out either, right? Because sooner or later somebody's going to point a camera at you and expect somebody to talk. You don't even know why you're there. You can't articulate why you're there. All of which are major fails. And I say this not to chastise people, but to make people think better. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do while you're there? How long are you going to be there for? How long are you deployed? How are you going to support that deployment? How are you going to fund that deployment? What are your goals? What's your escalation of force? What are your ROEs and your SOPs and your TTPs? I don't know. I just like multicam. Okay, cool, bro. Best of luck to you. From Foreign Affairs, Taiwan can't wait. What America must do to prevent a successful Chinese invasion. 1FEB, Mike Gallagher. And there's a lot of fluff in this article. Despite the growing warnings that the U.S. Department of Defense is inadequately prepared for a Chinese invasion of Taiwan, consider the U.S. Navy the service with the most critical role in the Indo-Pacific region. The Trump administration's plan for naval modernization, Battle Force 2045, was based on the assumption that the Navy could wait until the mid-2040s to reach its optimal size. Under President Joe Biden, even that plan has been shelved, with the Navy now significantly stepping back from its long-held goal of maintaining a fleet of 355 ships. And expected cuts in the next year's defense budget will likely further shrink the size of the fleet. Meanwhile, the U.S. and allied bases in the Pacific have not been upgraded. Congress has not yet funded a badly needed air and missile defense system on Guam, which houses an air and naval base that would be on the front lines of any conflict over Taiwan. At the bases across the region, stockpiles of precision-guided munitions are insufficient to support a prolonged conflict. At present, by the way, if you don't think that our enemies are reading the same stuff that we are, as well as gathering their own humans, you're nuts. They see the same stuff. They see far more because it's their job to see it. They see far more than we do, whether it's OSINT, open source intelligence, or signals intelligence, rumored intelligence, human intelligence, on and on and on. That's their job. They're out there hoovering up as much data as they can, then collecting it, correlating it, and putting it into intelligence packages. So our enemies know this too. Good story, Bear. Thanks, guys. No problem, Bear. We love you. I love you guys too. At present, the United States is on track to lose a war over Taiwan, yet it is not too late to change course. With the targeted redirection of existing and readily obtainable military resources, effective planning, and the leveraging of crucial alliances, the United States has the capacity to prevent, and if necessary, to win a war over Taiwan as soon as the middle of this decade. That's 3 years away. BT dubs. Also, anecdotal note, read yesterday, doing a deep dive on Ukraine, that the Ukrainian Defense Ministry has authorized the expansion of its army by 100,000 troops over the next 3 years. I hope that they have an army left 3 years from now. Rather than betting on the restraint of the Chinese Communist Party or on technology that will not be ready for more than a decade, Congress and the executive branch must implement a new Pacific defense strategy now. The United States needs Battle Force 2025, not Battle Force 2045. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Although the Taiwan Strait may seem far from the United States, the Indo-Pacific, which would be the broader theater of any conflict with China, is home to numerous U.S. territories and possessions. These include American Samoa, Guam, and Northern Marinara Islands. By the way, Samoa, great cookie. Not as good as the cookie with the peanut butter in it. You know, the one that's covered with chocolate that all the little Girl Scout ladies sell? Those things? Those are the bomb. But Samoa's pretty good too. American Samoa, Guam, and Northern Mariana Islands, plus a number of other small islands and atolls under U.S. control. Together with allied countries in the region, such as Australia and Japan, aka the Quad in the Indo-Pacific region. Do your homework on that. Morning, Rex. These U.S. holdings constitute a crucial line of defense against China and provide the United States with the ability to more effectively deny the PLA, or the People's Liberation Army, aka China, the capacity to operate across broad swaths of the Pacific in wartime. In theory, the U.S. territories and possessions should play a critical role in supplementing the current posture of U.S. forces in the region, which are largely concentrated in a small number of hubs on Alaska, Hawaii, Japan, and Korea. And it goes on from here. The recommendation of this article is essentially build up the Navy now, build up the Marine Corps now, because we're going to have a war with China by 2025. And again, this is from foreignaffairs.com. Now, before we talk about the ATF, I'm going to go pee on the green screen. Y'all talk quietly amongst yourselves. I'll BRB. Technology is so good these days. The cleanup crew is going to be really upset that I pissed on the soundstage. Whatever. From the Blaze, the ATF and Biden administration have nearly 1 billion records on private firearms purchases. By the way, there's lots of reporting on this in the YouTube gun community going on right now. Tons. The YouTube gun community right now is essentially going on three things. CRS firearms that was picked up by the U.S. Marshals, whole nother story, wrongly, in my opinion. FRT, forced reset triggers versus wide open triggers in Big Daddy Unlimited. I've talked about that on a live stream recently. And this right here, the ATF and the registry that they're concerned that the ATF is building. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, which our buddy Jared at Guns and Gadgets says, and I agree, should be a convenience store, not a government agency, and the Biden administration are in possession of nearly 1 billion records detailing the firearms purchases of American citizens, AmmoLand reported. Why is this even a big deal? Because those records aren't supposed to extend past 30 days, I believe. After 30 days, this message is supposed to self-destruct. Congressman Michael Cloud, Republican from Tejas, and 51 other Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives requested information from the ATF about its growing database detailing personal information about the American public's gun purchases. The letter from the congressman said, quote, "We are concerned that this administration is leveraging its power in a way to establish a federal gun registry. Moreover, we are opposed to recent proposed regulation that would require federal firearms licensees to facilitate the creation of a gun registry," end quote. Why is that important? Why should we care? Because registration always, historically speaking, precedes confiscation. And we could argue the merits of the federal government's ability or inability to confiscate billions of weapons from the citizenry of the United States of America. Could they? If you cucks allow them to, yeah, absolutely. If you're going to be super nice about it, oh, I'm so sorry, sir, here you go. I guess you can have my God-given, constitutionally protected right to defend myself. Here, you want some of these too? Okay, I got some of these too. My bad. Please go ahead and limit me to 3 rounds. Right, yeah. If you bend over and let them put a ball gag in your mouth, absolutely, they'll come do that. If you don't, whole nother story. Damn, Bear, you're just like kind of a different person today. Nah, just a different facet of the bear on display this morning. In response, the ATF explained that it has 920,664,765 records detailing the gun purchasing habits of the American people. The ATF continued by saying that the nearly 1 billion records include, quote, digital and an estimated number of hard copy records that are awaiting image conversion. It is currently estimated that 865,787,086 of those records are in a digitalized format. Digitalized? That's even a word? That is some serious nerd speak. The ATF has been developing this database since 2006. Oh, so remember that 30 days and then this message will self-destruct thing? No, since 2006. While speaking with the Washington Free Beacon, Representative Cloud said from Tejas, quote, "A federal firearm registry is explicitly banned by law. Yet, the Biden administration is again circumventing Congress and enabling the notably corrupt ATF to manage a database of nearly 1 billion gun transfer records," end quote. In its response to Cloud's letter, the ATF said, quote, "The sole purpose of these systems is to trace firearms used in crimes, which is a valuable crime gun intelligence tool used in thousands of investigations." The ATF ended its response by saying it was confident that it, quote, "does not violate any laws," end quote. Couple of key things here for me. The first is, I don't think the ATF gives a flying flip about whether or not they're violating any laws. because clearly most of what they do is extra constitutional anyway. And I've heard it said, Johnny B said in a video yesterday, what's up, Johnny B? Yeah, I'm convinced that this is both unconstitutional and illegal. Johnny, here's the deal. If it's unconstitutional, it's illegal. The Constitution is law. It's a series of laws. These are laws. If it's unconstitutional, it's de facto illegal. Okay? And for everybody else within the sound of my voice, if it's unconstitutional, it is de facto illegal. These are not bright ideas that we had. They're the highest law of the land. So if it's unconstitutional, it is illegal, de facto illegal. So the ATF ended its response by saying it was confident it does not violate any laws. Wrong. Survey says you're full of shit. Next, over here, the sole purpose of these systems is to trace firearms used in crimes. Crimes as currently defined, or crimes as the ATF will define them in the future, much like what we're seeing right now with this forced reset trigger. Not a machine gun, doesn't violate any of the stipulations of the Hughes Amendment, which is in of itself a violation of the highest law of the land, but not a machine gun, specifically designed to not be a machine gun. But the ATF, which is basically legislating via a pen, says, no, it's a machine gun. We're going to go after these things. So the ATF has decided what the crime is here. So while it might not currently be a crime, say to own an AR-15, if it becomes a crime ex post facto, after the fact for you to own an AR-15, the sole purpose of this system is to trace firearms used in crimes. And if that crime is the possession of said firearm and you have a registry with 1 billion transactions in it, with everybody's data that's tied to that, yours and mine included, since 2006. Anybody here bought a weapon since 2006? I have. Y'all know this. I'm positive you have. Right? So now they got all your data as well. Cool. So to trace firearms used in crimes. Whew. Who defines what the crime is? And is this ex post facto? Smells like entrapment, Tommy Salter. That's exactly right. Shalom, brother. So this is a pretty big deal. What are we going to do about it? I don't know. Abolish the ATF would probably be a good start. Despite the ATF's insistence that it is not violating the law, Cloud and his congressional colleagues are, and let's put all of our hope in the men and women in suits who are bought and paid for by, international corporations in Washington, D.C. who represent the will of the people. Did you know, I think it was Forward Observer was reporting on, death threats to members of Congress are up 250%. That should be an indicator as to how the members of Congress are perceived by their constituents. Up 250%. And so we're going to put our hopes in these people that they're going to fix the problem. Despite the ATF's insistence that it is not violating the law, Cloud and his congressional colleagues argued that the Biden administration efforts to alter long-standing federal law protecting the privacy of gun stores and their customers are in fact illegal. They argued that the proposed change, quote, means that 100% of all lawful commercial firearms transfers would eventually end up in an ATF computer system, thereby creating a permanent database, end quote, and subsequently violating the law. Agreed. That's what we just talked about. For what purpose the ATF created the database is not necessarily the issue. The ATF has been curating the database that includes nearly 1 billion records on hundreds of millions of private transactions for more than 15 years. It just so happens that the database details the purchase of objects that the American political left is religiously dedicated to eliminating from private ownership. And that is the end of the article there. And that is the end of the news portion of the brief. And so if you're one of those people that jumps off when I talk about how to support the show, now's your cue. Have a blessed day. Shalom. Beat feet. Get out of here. Now, lives 32 and 33 saved with this right here. Praise the Father. This is the Bearfac. This one is mine. There are many like it, but this one is mine, the Bearfac 3.0. You get it from refugemedical.com. Life number 32 was a contractor overseas doing the things. I can't give you the details of the situation and how the kit was used, but I can tell you that a tourniquet, combat gauze, pressure bandage, hyphen chest seals, and a decompression needle were all used to save this man's life. Okay? That's life number 32. And that's all the details I can give you on that, because do you even OPSEC, bro? But confirmed, we've had email exchanges back and forth with this person. Good to go. Life number 33. Yeah. Have we talked about this? No, we haven't talked about this. Yeah, we did. Skid steer man. Skid steer man. Got his arm stuck in a skid steer. That's kind of a big deal. We don't want to get our arms stuck in skid steers. Hold on, I got to go to my spreadsheet. Yep. Life number 33 was the skid steer man. Yes, Romans 12:18. Got his arm stuck in a skid steer. And it ripped off most of the meat off of his arm. The dude used basically the entire contents of his Bearfac. Where are we here? The gentleman who sent in the details, his name is Matt. I wanted to say thanks for a great IFAC. I had gotten one last year as a gift. I thought it was great. Much better than the grease rags and duct tape we normally kept at the farm. It pretty much sat there gathering dust for quite some time until the last 2 weeks. I had one of my workers chop off a finger while working in a squeeze chute. Not a life-threatening wound for sure, but kept him from bleeding all over the seat of my pickup truck for the 1-hour trip to the hospital. Then, and here's the life saved, last week, had another guy stick his arm between the loader arms and the cab on the skid steer loader while trying to start it with ether in the cold. Well, the genius in the cab hit the lever and the loader arm came down, crushing his arm and ripping quite a bit of flesh loose. Tourniquet, dressings, bandage, pads, and every bit of gauze came to use getting that mess under control. Who'd have thought that a pair of shears would come in so handy? Troubles come in threes, they say. Looking forward to the third. Sarcasm, LOL. Anyway, I have seen the light as to having some good kits around, and I'm going to have to round up some cash to stock more of these. No, you're not, because we're sending you new ones, because if you use this kit to save a life, we replace everything in it. So if you want to buy more, you can, but I'm telling you, and I mean it, you use this to save a life, you get another one. That's the whole point, is to get these out there where people can use them. Almost like someone who's about to pull poles with a bobcat pulling trees. Paladin one, what are you trying to say? You ever leg pressed a Cat 279, bro? Huh? Anyway, I've seen the light as to having some good kits around, and I'm going to have to round up some cash to stock more of these, or just get the wound care bucket with the way things are going. Anyway, thanks for the great product. I will be ordering several soon. I have seen the light on keeping some good kits versus the trash Chi-Com knockoffs from box stores or Amazon. Praise the Father. 33 lives saved with the Bearfac. And this is the Bearfac 3.0. Bear First Aid Kit. Okay, it's designed to work the March algorithm. Massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, and everything else. I have attached bungeed onto the outside here. This is an additional. I have a soft T tourniquet here. And on the side here, I have my shears. This is MOLLE capable. It's made in America, guaranteed forever. If you break it, I will replace it at no cost to you. If you use the contents to save a life, I will replace it at no cost to you. Okay? So this MOLLE's onto your kit, or you have it laying around, or you put it on the back of your headrest, or you put it in your skid steer. I have one in mine, or whatever. And the way this works is you pull this tab open, you find the red handle, and you pull the inner out of the outer. See, the outer provides the durability and the portability. This is ballistic nylon, okay? Exceeds military specification. So this is how you transport the thing around and keep it safe and secure. The inner is where all your capability is at. Shalom, Tony John. You pop this open, and by the way, you can do this one-handed if you had to. Designed to work with one hand if you have to, because we've had 2 people that have lost their arms and saved their lives with this thing. So designed to work even one-handed. So you got another tourniquet here, Gen 7 Cat tourniquet. You got your gloves, you got your Sharpie. You can add a decompression needle at checkout if you check the little box. You've got your medical tape here. This is good surgical tape. And see, it's Velcroed in here so that it's available, but it won't run away on you when you open the kit. But you can also just pop it right out like that, okay? You got your pressure bandage here. North American Rescue 6-inch emergency trauma dressing right here. We had somebody say, I don't know about that kit. It doesn't have any Israeli bandages in it. Bro, an Israeli bandage is a pressure dressing, and this is better than the Israeli bandage. Israeli bandage, 30-year-old technology. This, current technology. Good to go. In the back, you have your stack. Yeah, there's another pocket back here. This is our airway and respiratory module. So I've got 2, and see, prioritization of care. Massive bleeding right here, which is 90% of preventable deaths, massive bleeding right here, okay? We need this first. That's why it's the M in the March algorithm. Massive bleeding first. Boom, right here, good to go. Then airway and respiratory, 2nd and 3rd causes. Right here, airway and respiratory module. So I've got my 2 high-fin chest seals. I've got my nasal pharyngeal airway in here. I've got 2 5x9 gauze pads, because if I need big gauze, I need it now. And we added in the 3.0 a burn tech dressing as well for burns, because we've had these kits be used a lot in motor vehicle accidents. And then down here in the bottom, we've got another pouch down here. And we have our Quick Clot rolled gauze. This comes standard with the kit. You can add Z-fold combat gauze if you want, but you've got Quick Clot in the kit right here, ready to go. And then you've got another baggie down here, waterproof, dirt-proof, wind-proof. This has your compressed gauze, triangle bandage, rolled gauze, emergency blanket, eye shield for eye injuries, eye pads, 2x2s, 4x4s, 5x9, flat duct tape, and a host of other things in here for dealing with the remainder of the March algorithm. This is not a boo-boo kit. This is not designed if you skin your knees riding your bike, although we have kits for that at refugemedical.com. It's not designed if you rip a thumbnail off. That's not what it's for. It's designed to save lives. And this has been in constant testing and evaluation with U.S. Army Special Forces, Navy SEALs, and Marines for the last 3 years. That's why we are now on the BearFact 3.0. We're constantly iterating to make this thing better. And so you can get it at refugemedical.com. You can and should use the promo code BEARNATION. It'll get you free shipping on that and everything else in the store. And all of our kits are HSA and FSA eligible. I read a statistic this morning. 91% of people who have an HSA, health savings account, 91%, that's 9 out of 10 of y'all, fail to use the entirety of their HSA funds and then forfeit those funds at the end of the period. By the way, the end of the period is March 31st. So if you haven't, that's not that far away. That's 2 months away. If you haven't used it yet, don't be the 9 out of 10 dumbasses who give that money back to the government. Use it, okay? Love you too, Eddie. So all of our kits are HSA, FSA eligible. And it's refugemedical.com, handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. 33 lives saved in the last 2 years. 33. This, by the way, exceeds military specification. That's why this is electively on 4 continents with all branches, including our friends, the nerds at Space Force, all branches with the U.S. military, electively, because it's far better than what they're issued. Far better, okay? That's a BearFact 3.0, refugemedical.com. And to our question earlier about supply chain issues, we are doing our best to keep things in stock. If we go to war, best of luck, homie, for you and me both. So get them while you can get them. Now, to that point, get them while you can get them. The ungovernable T-shirt. Ungovernable t-shirt. There are links in the description to this video as well as links on Patreon. Shout out to the patrons. Thank you for supporting the show. It's that time of the month again. It's the beginning of the month. And so if you're on Patreon, please make sure you're still on Patreon because sometimes their billing kicks people off for the month. So come on back. We love you. We miss you. It's $5 a month. Best $5 you can spend on the internet. And that's not an I love me, you should love me too page. There's over 2,000 exclusive pieces of content on Patreon that have never seen the light of day on YouTube. And all the deep dives, the big answers, the big questions, all that's on Patreon. So check it out, patreon.com. There's a link in the description. Search for Bear Independent. You'll find us there. And if you sign up for the year, you get 2 months free. So check that out as well. Milk Money, shalom. Ungovernable t-shirt. Limited run. 28th of February. It's done. You'll never get it again. We have reinforced our servers. If you tried to get one but the server was down, please go try again. We appreciate you. When they're gone, they're gone. Ungovernable. There's 2 different versions. One has the Capitol building with tilted to the side with a huge crack down the middle of it, and it says the word ungovernable. The other is a farmstead in front of some mountains with some trees on either side with a barn and a home, and it says ungovernable. So check it out. And as far as, check it out. Lastly, refugetraining.com. We have the dates for the Waco classes with Carl are up. Carl at Tactical Rifleman, Waco, Texas. So you can find that at refugetraining.com. The dates for the classes in conjunction with Rex and Saw in North Dakota, Rex Tiborosaurus Rex fame and Saw of Saw fame, are up on refugetraining.com as well. And the armed retainer class, you can find that at Rex's site. Carl's tactical rifleman classes, you can find that at Carl's site. We are doing classes in conjunction with them. So if you want to take our class, you sign up at our site, refugetraining.com. If you want to take their classes, you go to their sites, okay? Tiborosaurus Rex or Rex Defense for the North Dakota rifle class, the armed retainer class, which I will be at. I'm very much so looking forward to being there. And then the Waco class, I will be there as well. And that's in conjunction with Carl at Tactical Rifleman. And you can just search Tactical Rifleman. You'll find his website. You sign up for his class as well. I will be at both of those classes. Additionally, many of y'all in Houston have said, yo, Bear, we need a class. Good news. You got one, bro. refugetraining.com. There's 14 dates up there right now. And we will be adding more dates in the coming weeks as well. But there's 14 dates up there right now. Go check it out. You absolutely need one of these. This is a Bear Fact 3.0. You need a life-saving first aid kit. And then you need training, dude. Just like having the rifle doesn't matter if you don't know how to run it. Just like having the carry pistol doesn't matter if you don't know. If you're going to shoot yourself in the junk with it when you try to draw from the appendix and now you're the casualty, that's a problem, homie, okay? When are you having classes in Iowa? Laura, I have no idea. If you get together enough people to have a class in Iowa or anywhere else for that matter, email us sales@refugetraining.com and we'll come see you. We're actually investigating, little tease, doing a class in Alaska right now, a private class in Alaska. We're going to palletize the training van, put it on the back of a C-130. We're going to take off from somewhere in Nevada, and then when we get over the target in Alaska, they're going to kick us out the back door, and we're going to parachute in. It's going to be badass. Sales@refugetraining.com. Check out Refuge Training. We've got awesome dates up there, awesome collabs with Rex and Saw and with Carl at Tactical Rifleman. And like I said, I will be at both the North Dakota class as well as the Waco class. And strongly recommend if you are in the Houston area to check that out as well. And with that, gosh dang, we're pushing an hour. I love you, Bear Nation. Y'all are the best. Thank you for supporting the show. Share this with people you think need to see it. Get your words squared away because mine were not tremendous today. Enjoy the cool temperatures, and we'll see you soon. Shalom. Yeah, class at any time in OKC, all the time, Frank. Always a class in OKC. Check it out, refugetraining.com. Shalom.